Local iPhone.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah? Okay, all right. But I actually wrote a custom app for this, and just to kind of give you a little bit of gauge, these are actually our old, well, they're not older, they're one of the device test suites for testing Flash performance. If you do any type of Flash work, one of the keys to Flash is actually frame rate. Flash is a constant rendering runtime. And by that I mean it has a framed graphics buffer that is called about every 15 milliseconds. You can actually change the timing on it by changing frames per second in your SWIFT file. And it discretely operates between executing code and rendering content to screen. And so in these test cases, what it actually does, it runs through a battery of graphical tests on the device and then gives a metric score of what it was able to achieve in terms of frame rates. 32 frames a second was pretty typical about 3 years ago on the desktop. That's normally what you would expect. But to see a phone doing that capability, having that capability now is pretty impressive. The RAM definitely helps, but actually the Qualcomm Snapdragon chipset is pretty unbelievable in terms of what it is doing to the mobile ecosystem. Just from a chipset perspective, it's really changing the capabilities of what these phones can do, and they're enabling this type of rich content to be deployed onto phones. Let me just get out of that one. See, I've got one other the frame rate is not constant. The way Flash works is you set an ideal frame rate, and then the runtime is going to attempt as best as it can to render the frame rate as fast as possible. If you execute too much code on one frame cycle, or if you execute too many graphics on one frame cycle, it will actually slow down to the point where, and everything you throw at it will execute, but it will slow the frame rate down and then speed it back up once rendering is improved. So from a performance perspective, developers from the Flash ecosystem are very careful about how many graphics and how much code is executing on events, trying to stay away from timer-based programming, but more staying in tune with the rendering cycle. And a lot of our framers, specifically Flex, does that automatically for the developer. So if you write applications, they just work. The other side of this, and again, all I've shown is AIR, but I wanted to show a little bit of Flash in the browser. I think one of the first, if not, I believe it's the first phone that will actually deploy Flash in browser is the Palm Pre.